Hey everyone, this is Gary with Older Man, Stronger Man. Today is January 5th, and that's a day that means a lot to me. And I wanted to share this story with you folks because it's a day that literally changed my whole world for the better and absolutely for the worst. 15 years ago, I was waking up to incredible pain the day after Thanksgiving. And technically, it was Thanksgiving Eve, meaning the day of, but it was after 12 o'clock. And I woke up and I was in extreme pain. My abdominal just felt. And I remember I felt like I was going to die. In fact, I knew I was dying. And so I went to the hospital, and the first doctor, after looking at my test and everything, told me I wasn't going to make it and that I should have and get my affairs in order. And that was a huge shock because I had never heard anything like that. We all fear those words. You know, you've got cancer, you've got heart disease, and there's nothing we can do. And we all fear it, but I actually heard those words come out of a doctor. And for the first time in my life, I just sunk and I just didn't know what to do. So we actually didn't want to take that as an answer. And the University of Florida was 34 miles away from where I lived in Florida. And we petitioned to get in. And because you don't just walk into a hospital like that. And they accepted us. And I took one of the most miserable ambulance rides of my life to the University of Florida. And I think I remember about, 30 minutes of time there being interviewed by a doctor. And he asked me all kinds of questions, and they admitted me, and then I was out. And I woke up literally a little over a month. I had gone into a coma, and things didn't look good. And when I woke up, it looked like Star Trek behind me, all the whistles and bells and lights and everything like that, heart monitors. I woke up with a tracheotomy because evidently I kept pulling things out, and then they incubated me. And the only way I could talk was put my finger on that and go, hello, otherwise I talk like that. So it was amazing waking up because I hadn't had surgery yet. And they still had to wait for my pancreas to settle down. I had pancreatitis, and you never want that because when you piss off your pancreas, it poisons itself, and then it poisons anything else it comes in contact with, like your gallbladder, etc. So I woke up, and they said, wow, you're in really bad shape, and you're still not out of the woods, but we have high hopes. And month went by, almost a month, I guess, or not quite, I guess. I guess it was about 2 weeks, and they decided to do surgery on me. And they removed 90% of my pancreas, my spleen, my gallbladder. It was just a war zone inside my stomach. And it was a very long surgery. And I've got a nice zipper that goes from the top of my sternum all the way down past my belly button. And I remember waking up after that surgery, and the pain was unfriggin' believable. But I was still alive, and it was much a different prognosis than when I had first gone to the first hospital. And these doctors and this team around me, it was a teaching hospital, were phenomenal. They actually saved my life. I had several bouts of different things I had trouble breathing, and they couldn't figure it out. And he went back to the basics, and they found out that my chest was full of fluid, and you would not believe the amount of drainage that came out of my chest constantly. And then I had an abscess, and then radiology says, no, you can't operate. It's like a war zone in there. Everything's moving around. You can't go in there. So they battled that. Instead of going in and taking it out, they battled that with antibiotics. And 4.5 months later, I left the hospital at about 130 pounds, which I went in probably 210 pounds. And it was quite a different me that I had pictures. I don't know whatever happened to them, but me walking out with my youngest daughter and looked so thin. My clothes were just hanging off of me, ones that used to be tight. You know, I was very muscular, very much into shape, very much into, you know, lifting weights, etc. And that picture in my mind's eye is always a reminder of how bad things can get. And I remember going back to the gym for the first time, and I knew the owner, and I walked in, and he goes, "Oh my God, what the heck happened to you?" I explained it to him, and he spotted me on the bench. First time I could not bench the 45-pound bar. And it was absolutely devastating. Man, I had tears in my eyes, and I'm just like going, oh man, I'm 130 pounds. I don't have any strength. I mean, just life really, really was tough. And this is what this channel is all about, is when life is tough, or when we've had enough of what we've put ourselves through, or when you want to change your not only outlook, but your future, you can do it. I went from not being able to bench press 45 pounds to setting at just a year or two later, setting my all-time high of 340 pounds on bench. And it's never been my strong thing. I've always been able to curl and triceps. Those are my strengths. But I decided I wanted to get that 3 plates. The 315 pounds is what that winds up being. Well, I manhandled 15 pounds. And then I added, and I went right up to 340 pounds. And it all starts in the heart, and then in the head, and then in the doing. And I could have let that just be, you know, woe is me. I'm never going to rise above it. But man, after being able to survive something that a doctor had told me that I wasn't going to survive, and that I was not going to make it, to actually rise above that, that is a great feeling. And that can happen to any of us at any time. We don't have to accept other people's, prognosis. We don't have to accept, hey, this is what's going to happen to you, because it doesn't necessarily mean it will. It just it's their view. And sometimes doctors are right, maybe more often than others, but they can be wrong. In my case, they were wrong, and I survived. Thank goodness I survived. And I've never taken life for granted. So what did it leave me? Well, it left me without 90% of my pancreas. I literally, if you can imagine, your pancreas is like that big in between my fingers. It's very small. And I have 10% of that left. And that little bit does produce, at times, a little bit of insulin. But I am a diabetic. For all practical reasons, I'm a type 1 diabetic. Technically, I'm a type 2. But I am insulin dependent. And I have never been able to control that sugar. I just have never been able to do it. And being on the carnivore diet has ultimately changed that. It's not where I want to be yet. I'm still trying to figure out how much insulin and how much, how that all balances out with the foods and stuff with just eating carnivore. I'm still sitting, I rarely am under 100. I'm always pretty much over 100 on my daily glucose. The last time I checked, which was about 7 weeks ago, my A1C was 7.6. I think it's probably around 7, which is not good enough. I would like it to drop. I don't know if that's possible, but in my head and my heart, that's where I want to go. I want to achieve these things. And so it left me without a gallbladder, which is very important. Part of your, a lot of people won't go carnivore because of, they're missing their gallbladder. And it left me without a spleen, which is very important for your immune stuff. Your spleen is this, unbelievable blood filtering system that is pretty amazing. The good thing is I've been fairly healthy. I've had 5 bouts of pancreatitis because what I have is what they call chronic pancreatitis, and comes and goes depending on how much sugar and crap that I eat. And so haven't had one in many years, and I be honest with you, I never want to, because each one can kill you. I don't have much pancreas left. It's not like they can cut that part out anymore, right? So it's always been a dance, and it's always been, trouble, and it's always been a hospital stay. And so those are things that are always in the back of my head. So I want to rise above that. And that's just, that's just my story. And that's just what I am dealing with. Everybody is dealing with other things. And that's what this channel, Older Man, Stronger Man, is all about. It's about rising above. Like I've said in the past, we're never going to be 20 again. And we're never going to be, at least me, never going to be 40 again. But my goal is to be the best version of a 65-year-old man as I possibly can. I've had a hip replacement in the last 6-7 weeks, and I am back to the gym. It was miserable for about a year. I just had misery, and so it really knocked me off as far as the ability to go into gym, the want, that constant gnaw, that ache. And so getting back to the gym is really, really imperative for me, because it's my like Superman, right? His home of solace. That's my place, man. That's where I can do all my good thinking. That's where I can work out my frustrations, and that's where I can improve a better me. And so I just want everybody to know that life deals us some really crappy hands at times, but it doesn't mean that you can't take control of that hand and ask for, you give me 3 and give a better hand, right? And so I was at a conference yesterday. It was a carnivore meetup, and it was a panel of very, very interesting people, people who have very interesting stories. And one of them, he's from afar. He lives in Alaska, but he was 700 pounds. Life didn't look good for him, man. And he has lost 300 pounds, just under 3, but just rounded up. And he's still a big man. But he hadn't been able to leave where he was living for years. I think it was 4 or 5 years. And he could barely make it to the toilet. Well, he's out and about now, and he's still focused on a better vision of him. And if people like that, or people like me, or anything in between, put their minds to it, you can have a better life. And that's really what this channel is all about. It's about rising above either the stuff that we put us into, or because life just dealt us a crappy hand. But it's about rising above, making a better you. The other one was about a guy who, I think about 3 years ago, He got colon cancer, stage 4. The doctors told him that you have 3 months, I think it was, to live. And he lived another 30 months. And you should have seen this guy, man. He was exercising. He was living life. He didn't make cancer go away. He got on a carnivore diet, which I believe starved the cancer, which gave him more time. And really, we don't know if we're going to get hit by a car or if we're going to die tomorrow. But this guy wasn't about ready to quit. I actually had tears in my eyes because knowing that he had passed away, I'm watching this guy in the gym teaching, interacting with family life, not giving up, loving life, and making the most of the hand that he was given. And I'm going to take that every day with me, because here's a guy who has a death sentence and stage 4 colon cancer and inoperable. So he wasn't able to have it cut out. It's terrible, right? You got 3 months to live. And he isn't ready to give up. And he lives a full 30 months longer. That's almost, that's 2.5 years, guys. Longer living. And if you saw the videos, it was fantastic. The guy's in the gym, working out, running, playing soccer with kids, etc. He's living. He's living. He's not living under this umbrella that says, you're going to die, you're going to die. He lived under the umbrella of hope. And without hope, there is really nothing. And I think that's, again, what this channel really wants to throw out there is you're never without hope until we lose our breath. And so many people, they get this, oh, I'm fat, I'm obese, I've got this disease, I got Crohn's, whoa, there's nothing I can do. And they become the MS. They become the pancreatitis. They become the obese guy. They become that. And I want people to understand that you don't have to become that. It may surround you. It may be a part of your life, but it doesn't have to be the most important part of your life. In fact, it shouldn't be. It should be something out there. And especially if it's something that you can overcome, it's kind of like those books in the back. When you overcome it, or when you have read it, you put it back in the bookcase, and it's a nice reminder of what that book was about. And you can revisit it if you want, like I'm doing with pancreatitis, or you can just put it in the shelf. And when you overcome something like that, it is so powerful. What a story. We all have these stories, man. Whether it's getting through a divorce that just, took your soul and, it's hard to trudge on, or if it's something physical or mental, and then you overcome it, it's a beautiful story. And that is what this channel wants to be about. It's about overcoming. It's about rising above, and it's about being a better version of you at whatever part of your life you're in, and then continuing it so you can live a full life and a wonderful life and a beautiful life. All right, man, this is Gary with Older Man, Stronger Man. I hope everybody is having a great new year. We'll see you next time. Take care.